Welcome back to the Unstuck movement. I am your host, Rob Z. This platform was created for you to break the chains that are holding you back in your life, personally and professionally. So I bring incredible guests on the show who have found incredible breakthrough for themselves and help others find incredible breakthrough. Today we have the incredible Richard Walsh with us on the platform. And Richard, I'd love to jump in right off the bat with a powerful question. And since you're an expert in the business world, an expert in breakthrough and helping businesses grow and thrive, I'm curious, what do you find is the biggest reason why businesses lose time along with gaining little profit? What's causing that for most businesses?
I'll tell you, most businesses, because the owner, the CEO, whatever you want to call them, especially in small business, is too busy doing the thing. Mm-hmm. Doing the thing they do. That's why they're not able to actually look at profit. Forget revenue. That's a really bad scorecard. When you're looking at gross revenue, it means nothing. The saying is, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. You got to look at the profit. Okay, and that's what they don't do, and they leave a ton of profit on the table. It's there, they just never get it.
What do you find is the biggest reason why most of those business owners don't get out of doing being in something so much and being over top of something more? What is the biggest reason they're doing that?
I really think it's identity. It's who they are. It's become, as men especially, what's the first thing you ask someone you meet? What do you do? Okay. Not who you are, what's your family like. It's what do you do, right? And that becomes who we are. I'm a CNC operator. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm this. I own this company. I'm a water feature. I was a water feature builder. I'm a steel sculptor, right? It became my identity, who I was. So I think they get into that and they can't let go of that identity, which means they want to keep doing the work because that's who they are, and they may very well be the best at what they do. So they feel they need to do it to actually satisfy clients, which is kind of a lie we tell ourselves, and we can talk about that too. But I think that's the real reason.
And it's a good question though, because then when somebody says, "What do you do?" how do you change saying what you do, right? If you're not in it so much and you're more on top of it, do you change the way that you answer that question then?
Yeah, what you do is you don't make it about you. I spent my first 20 years making it about me. I won the awards. I built this. I did this. I did that. Okay, I made this. I didn't talk about what it did for my clients. Never talked about that. I just talked about what I built and how beautiful. See this water feature? Looks like it was there before the house was built, right? Yeah, I did that. Okay, I'm that good. Okay, so it's all you got to redirect the question. What's it about? What are the outcomes of the product or service you do and deliver?
Right. So instead of "this is what I do," you switch it to "I help people" or something along those lines. Who you're helping, how you're helping them.
That's right. Their outcomes.
Yeah.
What I did for them, did for them.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Like, what was the outcome of that? Tell me about the great reunion they had in their back deck as they sat around the giant water feature I created, and it was the greatest experience they ever had for their great grandmother's, the family reunion, and last time she's going to see everyone together that was a part of it, right? So something like that. So really, it's about outcomes.
Oh, I love that though, because that's a constant mindset shift you have to keep practicing on, is reframing. Not only to people when they ask that's a great time to do that. When they ask that question, you can reframe it in the moment, but reframing it for yourself too. It's not about me. It's about who I'm serving, who I'm showing up for. So I love that.
You can put it in the humility category, right? And there's a great saying about what humility is, right? Humility isn't thinking less about yourself. It's thinking about yourself less. Okay. So you don't put yourself down, but you're not the subject of the conversation. It's about others.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so everybody, welcome to the Unstuck movement. I've created this platform to find true testimonies of breakthrough, right? Because in our lives, we get stuck in various different spots, personally and professionally. To find breakthrough, I personally love stories of breakthrough to see that it's possible for me. And so you can also see that it's possible for you. So I bring people on the podcast who have found that breakthrough and help other people find those breakthroughs in their life. We're sponsored by the Connected Leaders Academy. Make sure you check out connectedleadersacademy.com. Over 400 heart-centered servant leader entrepreneurs from all over the world serving one another. And also, I want to remind you that if you want to be the go-to authority in your field, the expert at what you do, leave a lasting impact on people's lives, and create incredible connections in your industry, I encourage you, you should launch your own platform. You should have your own podcast, and I'd love to help you on that journey. Go to the Pro Podcaster Academy. You can join the wait list right now at robcwentz.com. Richard Walsh with us today is a 30-year entrepreneur, Marine, and best-selling author of Escape the Owner Prison. He specializes in helping business owners regain control, scale effectively, and create balanced lives with freedom, profit, and impact. Richard, I'm curious for you, because I love the story of getting unstuck. Where were you stuck that led you to what you're doing today?
So first 20 years of my business started when I got out of the Marine Corps back in the late 80s, and started that doing great. Again, water features, steel sculpture. I'm building all these incredible things. I'm winning awards. I'm out front. Everything was great, killing it, making great money, getting whatever price I wanted because I'm the only one who can do what I do. And it was really going along well. Then I got married. Then we had 6 kids in like 3.5 years. So we had that. And then 08, 09 came. And November 5th of 2008, I remember the day because the day after the election, I lost $500,000 on that day. People just started canceling and this, and no one was spending money. If you're, I have to say this now, old enough to remember, if you're conscious of those kind of things in 08. And I'm like, wow, I hung up the phone, and that was just the beginning of the cliff. So I lost that $500,000. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to get better. And we kind of limped through. And then 09's in the beginning of 09. It's just, I tried a few things, didn't work. And now I'm about to lose my house. I'm going to lose the business. Everything's collapsed around me. I got these 6 little kids, 4 years and younger. Yeah, it was pretty tough. So I'm dealing with that. And the thing was, and I'll just tell you real quick what kind of, I can't say it was, it's kind of the beginning of the Unstuck. So now everything's collapsed. You have nothing. You're losing your home. You're going to have to relocate. You're losing your business. It's something you built for 20 years. You thought you were the best. I was the best at what I did. We talked about that earlier, but I wasn't really great at the business end. I ignored it because I was too busy being great. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was really my demise. So I don't blame the economy, Rob. Like, yeah, it was bad, but it was the final straw kind of thing. It was the biggest hole in the bucket. I had a lot of little holes, as long as you can keep the water coming in, it was okay. But eventually the hole's so big, it doesn't hold any water, and the bottom dropped out, and that's where it was. But so in this time, I'm thinking about my little kids, my 6 little kids. I'm like, wow, I come home and they all run and crawl and attack me, and they just love to be with me. And then one day my 4-year-old is chasing my truck out the driveway, crying because I'm leaving. And I'm looking at this in the rearview mirror thinking, man, what am I doing? Everything, I'm trying to save the sinking ship. I built all this. Everything has been the business. That was my whole identity. It was my identity in my business, right? If I didn't have Rick Rock, my company, I didn't exist. I built it. If I lose, I'm a failure, right? So I had that whole thing going on. But I had this epiphany one morning when I woke up. I started thinking about my kids saying, if I stay on this path of business first, do whatever it takes, all this stuff, I go, that's what my kids are going to see. And when they grow up, I'm actually going to end up ruining their lives because they're going to have failed marriages. They're going to have broken relationships, right? They might be good at business, but all their priorities are going to be wrong because more is caught than taught with kids. And kids will do what they see, not what you say, like all the time. They're only going to they're going to walk like you walk, right? So I'm like, man, I can't do that, So I got out of bed, went to the office, and I said, we're done today. We're not doing this. We're completely shut down. This ain't going to go. Went to my construction yard, told my guys who had been with me over 10 years, same guys. I said, we're wrapping up this week. I'm not doing this anymore. Didn't know what I was going to do,
Hmm.
but I knew I was not going to do water features. I was not going to do sculpture. I literally have video of me burning my uniforms. Like I'll never wear this stuff again. I'm never going to be owned by my business. I'm never going to be the one that serves it. So, and then, okay, pack up the house. We got to move. We got to go find a place to rent, and the whole thing. So we moved to another state and had to start over. And that was the beginning of the new journey. Again, still not knowing what I was going to do, but I wasn't going to do that. And I'll tell you, Rob, it's been over 15 years now. I haven't built a water feature or touched a welder. Went from internationally recognized steel sculptor, best of what I did, award winning, to never doing it again. Most people don't do it that way. I'm a little odd. And I'm not saying it was the best way to do it, because I probably could have kept a lot of my equipment and done some side work and made some money, but I'm not that guy. I'm all or nothing. So that's kind of where it all began.
I'll be honest. It's kind of, it's refreshing to hear that. It's because everybody always says, plan the exit, and it's wise to plan and to have like the next thing set up. But I too did the same thing. Jumping from my second to third career, I was in broadcasting for 20 years. I planned my exit from that into digital marketing, but from digital marketing into coaching, I kind of burnt the boats and was like, I'm just going. Mm-hmm. And it made things difficult. I'm not going to lie. It brought a lot of stress, yeah. But looking at it now, it's like, well, that's how, for whatever reason, that's how I knew I had to do it. And I can't go back and change it, and I wouldn't change it. Right. So I think there's positives and negatives to doing that. If somebody is making that transition, what do you encourage them to do? Do you encourage them to do it how you did it, or do you have them plan?
First, they have to know themselves.
Yeah.
You really have to know yourself. Like I only operate under pressure. When I was doing sculptures, people would commission me for a piece. I said, well, when would you like it done? Oh, whenever. I go, oh yeah, that's not a good time for me. Because the end of whenever is never.
Never, yeah.
Okay, and that's when you're going to get it. Never, because I'm not going to care. You tell me you want it Tuesday, it'll be done, and it'll be amazing. Like that's how I operate. So I only do things. So putting myself in those situations, it's the do or die kind of thing. That's how I operate. Everyone's not like that. Most people aren't. So know who you are, how you can react. Some people need that push. They need to be forced into that situation so that they have to rise to it. They have to perform. Again, if I'm a coach, right? And I've been a fitness coach, and I've been, I'm a boxer, I'm a boxing coach. I've done all this stuff, right? So you have to know your player. What can you push? So if I'm your business coach and you're making a transition, I'm going to learn you a bit, but I'm also going to make you stretch. You're going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be hard. There's no easy transitions. There's no easy new career. Come on now. If we're going to do something new that we haven't done, guess where everyone starts? They start at awful. We're all in the same place. Mm-hmm. If I've never swung a bat, okay, it's going to be awful, right? That first pitch. And then you get like not awful, then you get okay, and then you get good, then you get better, and you get very good, and then you get excellent. You know what I mean? It's the road to mastery. But you got to understand, we all start at the same place in the new stuff. Now, some people leave awful pretty quickly. I'm pretty good at getting away from awful, right? But I still know where I start. So, that's the big thing, right? So I think if you're going to make that jump, know yourself so that you can actually do it the way that you're going to perform the best.
Yeah, that's really good advice for that, knowing yourself. And that's interesting. I'm thinking to myself right now, what was I learning through that process? And I think I found out a lot about myself by doing it the way that I did it, because I did not know exactly how it was going to go. And so I did find out a lot about me, some good, some bad, but it was a great learning process. And I think it's one of the best processes of venturing out on your own and creating something, because the art of creating something shows you who you are, which I encourage people, if they want to become an entrepreneur or just create something for themselves, the personal development in that is everything. Because as you personally grow, the thing that you're doing will also grow, and you have to personally grow. Has personal growth for you always been a part of your journey? I'm sure being a Marine, that's something that was instilled in you, is that, being the best that you can be. Is that something that came like kind of innate to you when you were growing up, or did you have to learn how to implement that personal growth?
I don't. So I've been around long enough now where like what people call things today are not what they were called before. Things before didn't have names. It wasn't called personal growth.
Yeah.
It was like suck it up and get it done. That was personal growth. Okay. So figure out a way. It was figure out a way, make this happen. I started with a wheelbarrow and a shovel. You know what I mean? I'm shoveling rock and stuff like that. I just did that. There's no personal growth. I didn't know what that was. All I knew is I had to get to the next thing. I had to earn the money. I had to get to the next job. I had to do more sales. And then as I got better, I'm like, well, okay, I kept improving. Reflection's great. Again, another thing about being in the game a long time, I look back now. That's why I wrote my book, because I can look at it and go, man, I was an incredible idiot for like 20 years. Okay. Like I got so much to write about on what not to do. Okay. This is awesome. I had the luxury of hanging in there for 20 years, improving, but still failing, right? Because failure really is just the next lesson. Mm-hmm. Quitting is a different animal. Mm-hmm. Quitting, I don't tolerate. Failure, totally okay with me. Okay. So there's a very big difference there. Someone quitting, we're not going to get along. Okay, but you fail, we're good. Can you lose today and come back tomorrow and play? That's what you got to do. You lose today, come back tomorrow and play. That's what greats do, right? So that was my mindset. Always in the game, no matter what. And it's from the Marine Corps. It's from my upbringing. The stuff I had to go through then, and everything else. But it really is it's the grit, it's the perseverance. That's a trait that also can be developed, right? But you have to have an element of that if you're going to be on the entrepreneurial journey, because you're going to run into stuff all the time.
It's really interesting that you say that the personal growth wasn't even a word. It's something we haven't even, for the past maybe decade, it's been something that's like come into the popular culture, right? And maybe longer than that, but really I think it's been fairly recent that it's been talked about a lot. And maybe it's just because of how a lot of people, I consider myself in that role of just kind of like coasting for a long time. Although I was growing in my career, personally, I was not focused on me growing. I didn't even think about it because I didn't have to. And as you mentioned earlier, really putting yourself in positions where you don't have a choice but to grow, for me, has been so beneficial. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, being thrown in and like, hey, it's time to figure it out. Like, figure it out, and you're going to make mistakes, and you have to. That's the only way you're going to get better. And people get stuck in this perfectionism, which is procrastination also at the same time, right? And I was stuck in that for a long time of like, if it can't be perfect, then I can't do it. And that's where we really get locked into, it's a trap. It's our own personal trap that we keep ourselves in. And, going to the business end of it and talking about the idea of, I think a lot of business owners who stay in the business and don't get on the business and over top of the business, they stay in it because they're stuck in a perfectionistic mindset. Nobody else can do it like me. I do it the best, and I can't hire somebody else to do this because they can't do it like me. How did you find, well, I guess you never hired anybody to do the water sculptures for you, but well, how do you?
Yeah. I did. I had a crew, and eventually, it's really cool because I learned late, but I finally figured it out, but it was kind of too late. But I had like 2 years where it was kind of fun, So one day I'm like, I can't be here today. So my guys, we meet on the job site. I literally paint the grass, like put the water feature here, face it towards the door here on the deck, everything else. And I'm like, they've been with me for 10 years or whatever, 8 years. I'm like, they knew. I'm like, just do it. I got to go. I'll see you at the end of the day. So I come back at the end of the day. It's all finished. Everything looks great, right? The homeowner's walking out of the back door on the deck at the same time. And here's her. She's, it's amazing. I never seen anything so beautiful in my whole life. And I'm like, and I'm looking like, I'm free. These guys don't need me. Now, I would have put a rock there and I would have put this over here. I'm like, I could have made it, but they don't know that. And they happily paid me $15,000 for this. And they said they underpaid, like they love it. I'm like, my guys don't need me. I taught them well. They can do it. The customer didn't know the difference. So if you're that guy or girl who's that perfectionist, and no one can do it as well, You could probably find someone who can do it 95% as good as you, maybe, and probably better if you're really honest. Someone can do it better. But if that is the case, train them up that last 5%, turn them loose. You got to let go. You got to let people do it.
So that is good advice. But what about the people? Because I know a guy who's very good at what he does, but he openly says this, and we work on this. He won't let it go because it's his own personal thing. It's like, I know I could bring somebody in, and the people would say he did a great job, but for him, it's like, it's an ego thing. He's holding on to it. What do you do with somebody like that who's really, really holding on to that thing, and it's so much of their identity that, well, like we talked about at the beginning, they don't know. He doesn't know who he'll be without it.
Right, and that's really the issue. So what you have to do is you have to walk them through a process where first you have to train them to put the ego in a box. Ego destroyed my business because it's all about me. It's all about people telling me I did a great thing so I could go on to the next great thing. I was always focused on the great things because those words of affirmation was my love language. I only found that out like a year ago. But it's like, I just wanted to be told I'm great. That really made me feel good. Then I'll go do another great thing. So that's where we have to begin. But then you have to say, okay, you are great at doing this. We just have to put you in a different place to be able to do this, right? And it's going to look a little different. It's not going to be the literal hands-on doing it, but you're going to become the conductor of the orchestra. Right now, you're the orchestra, okay? And you can't play all the instruments. You need to be the conductor. They don't mention the orchestra by name. They mention the conductor by name. It's Daniel Barenboim with the CSO conducting the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. I don't know who's in the first chair for violin. I don't know who's dinging the triangle. I don't know their name. Never will know their name. But the conductor, everybody knows. Okay. You need to become the conductor of this orchestra and make that music amazing. So let's move you. Let's start to make that transition from the player to the conductor, because that's where you'll truly thrive. And that's when you'll see your business do amazing things that can be leveraged to the hilt, right? As far as reach, and you can do incredible things, and I guarantee you'll be way happier.
And that's where you become the real leader of it too, right? And then you can really start empowering people and putting them, because that's, as somebody who's running a company, right? You're then able to put people in position, and you can lift them up. You can show them their worth, because now you're overseeing them instead of controlling every aspect of the job.
Yeah, there's something we do. It's like, I love people to be, we want all our people working for us to be competent, right? I want them to do a good job. But I also want them to be better as people. And if I go to the conductor role, we'll stick with that. When I point to them to say, give me a little more, right? I point to the violinist, I point to the cello, give me a little more, bring it up. That's making them better as people. Okay, you're making them sound better, right? You're bringing more out of them as people. Because when you make them better as people, where do they go when they're done working for the day? They go home, right, to their families. If they're better people, that spills over again. Remember, more is caught than taught. They're acting as better people, and where do their families go? They're in the community.
Yep.
Right. So now, let's say my goal is to help 10,000 business owners create profit, freedom, and impact in their business, and I teach these business owners to make their teams better people as well as competent. I can affect millions of people. Because I helped those 50 people on his team, and they go home to their families, and now there's 500. They go in the community, and now it's exponential growth on the impact aspect. So that's how I look at it.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's something that I want to get into here. So, by the way, you're doing a great job. This is excellent. You're doing really well. I just want to give you some affirmation. That's my number one love language too, is the praise. You give me some praise, man, I am good to go. That'll keep.
You're really pretty. You're really pretty, Rob.
I don't know if that was the right kind of praise that I wanted.
I get it mixed up.
So we're going to jump into a break real quick here for a minute. When we come back, though, I want to talk more about impact, because impact is such a great word. And I have my own definition of what impact means to me. I'm curious what yours is, but I want to know, as business owners, and even people who are employees of companies, how do you make an impact on a day? Because Impact we can think about it many different ways. I want to know what it means to you and how you practically can make an impact every day with the people that are around you. And we'll talk about that in 1 minute. Are you struggling to make consistent, valuable content for yourself? Do you want to have an efficient and effective way to create content that attracts the people that you want to connect with in life, the people you want to build relationships with in business? Do you want to be the go-to authority at what you do, at what you're great at? Would it be helpful for you if you had a platform that connects you to incredible people in your industry? The kind of platform that gets you leads and lands you clients without you having to beat down anybody's door or blow up anybody's inbox. Whether you're already creating content or you're desiring to start and it's something that's been kind of burning inside of you for a while, I urge you and encourage you to check out the Pro Podcaster Academy. Get started right now. Join the waitlist at robzwentz.com.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world globally. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, join the Connected Leaders Academy today. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So, Richard, loving this conversation. What does the word impact mean to you?
Impact is right with change. Impact is change. You know, when you impact something, you change it. Now, it can be for the better or the worse, right? Where there's good impact and there's bad impact. So me is really about affecting change. That's what impact is. Making a difference. That's impact.
And so when you talk about somebody in their business making an impact in people's lives where they go and it makes their family better, it makes their community better, what are the big things, like the elements of somebody who's leaving positive impact on people that they work with? What are the things that they're doing on a daily basis that's causing that to happen?
So one of the first things I do, is a big thing we teach kind of right in the beginning, is really about strategic vision. Okay. A lot of companies are doing their thing, product or service. They're delivering a good or a service, right? They have a process. They do the whole thing. They're out, whether they're cutting grass or building computers. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Okay. And that's their thing. But when we talk about, well, what's the impact of that inside the company, right? How do we do that? When people say you need to improve the culture of your company culture. Well, sounds cool. Got any how-tos?
Yeah.
Okay. Because they don't. Okay. So they just tell you need to do it. Well, how do you do that? Well, people need three things. So you want to talk about impact. They need three things. If someone's coming to work at a company, they're looking for three things. Okay. The first thing is purpose. Okay. The second thing is recognition, quality feedback. The third thing is quality pay. And it goes in that order. Quality pay is not number one. People think money's everything. And I tell them, well, if it was, they would sell you out for 50 cents an hour and move down the road. Okay. So money is not number one. It's important. That's why I said quality pay, right? Purpose. People want to work for something, right? And it's not money, it's purpose. So how do we create purpose so people want to come to work and make a difference, right? And recognition, and that's good and bad, right? That's, hey, you did a great job. Here's your trophy. Here's your bonus. Here's, public recognition. Here's a party. But it's also, hey, man, you're kind of a little off the rails over here, man. Let's get you back low. Let's get back on track. Let's fix this, get you good to go. That's quality feedback. I didn't scold them. I'm helping them become better, right? So there's a different approach. But the purpose, creating a vision, like it's not what we're doing now, it's what we're going to do next 18 to 24 months, right? And now everyone understands in that we actually write this whole thing out, and it's like 10 pages, right? But they understand how they're the hero in that journey of making things happen, right? They read the story, they kind of, here's where someone came from and they're doing this now, they came from this, they're doing this here at this company now. People love it. All of a sudden they see this, they're like, that's what I'm talking about. I want to know that whatever's going out the door or whatever service is being performed isn't, I made A and delivered it to B. That's some unfulfilling stuff. Okay. That is, everything's got a time clock on that, right? And doing that stuff. But when it's, what is it really being done? We talked about the outcome. What's the outcome? How am I affecting that family, that reunion I talked about, that water feature that kind of brought it all together and brought the memories back and created all this stuff for the great grandmother or whatever, whoever did that. How do you do that? How do you bring that kind of joy to people? And that's inside the company. Externally also, I'm making profit. I'm doing great, right? We've built a business that's very successful. Now what impact am I making out in the community? Mm-hmm. I have clients who give 5% of all their profits to foster placement, to better women's shelters, things like that. They choose them locally, and now they're giving that. They're making an impact. They're doing things. They're getting input from people on the teams. Like, hey, what would you want to give to? Right? They do that kind of stuff. So that's the impact and the change, because you can make a difference that way. There's a lot of people out there doing great things, right? Go support them. You don't have to be the guy who creates this organization. Go support the guys who are already doing great things, because you're in a position to do that. And I think it's important that we do that, right? You can pile all the money up and sit on top of it and say it's all yours, or you can make a difference, make impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And going back to what you said a minute ago too about the pay, right? Because the companies always go back to pay. And I always say people pay is important because they'll go to a job. You'll switch jobs because the pay is better, but you'll stay at a job because you're being recognized, because you have value, because you're appreciated, and because you're put in a place in that job to use your strengths and people appreciate what you do, right? That'll make you stay at a job. People will stay at a job for less pay because they feel valued. I stayed at the job for many years because I loved so much what I was doing, and I got so much feedback from the customer, the listener, from a radio perspective, the listener standpoint. I got so much positive feedback and love from them that I was okay not getting paid what I felt like I was deserved. Now, that eventually changed over the years.
Sure.
But that can be a big part of that. And I always think impact too, right? If somebody says a word and your name pops in their head or your face pops in their head, then you've made an impact in their life in that way. So if somebody says a-hole, and your face pops up, that's not good impact.
Right.
But I always ask people, when they think of the word leader, who pops up in their head, that person who's that leader that pops up in their head, man, that person's made a great impact on your life. And we should all strive to be somebody who has made positive impact in people's lives. I love that feeling. It's such a good feeling. Just to know that you've left a good impression on somebody. When I'm curious about this, so working with businesses, hardships are always going to come, right? You're trying to grow, but you're also preparing for hardships. How do you balance that simultaneously? So you're coming up against growth, breaking through glass ceilings or whatever that might be, but also preparing yourself for the hardships that are to come. How do you do those two things at the same time?
There's a couple things, and I'm going to start with something that's going to seem a little not related, but it really is related. Okay. There's standard of living and there's quality of living. Okay. You know the difference? Standard of living, you make more money, you spend more money. Okay. You buy the next boat, you buy the new car. Quality of living is you make more money and you get time. And now you have time and you spend more time with your family and you do the things you really love to do, and you're still making more money, but you're not spending that money because you're not increasing your debt. You're not increasing, right? So think of that from the business standpoint. It's the same thing. Okay. So yes, we want it for our personal life. We also want it for we have to prepare for these times. What is my cushion? What's my safety net? What does that look like from a business standpoint? How lean am I running? So that if I'm running at the proper lean, things get tight, I probably don't have to lay people off. If I'm running fat, I'm going to have to cut people loose. No big deal, because then I can still do with these people. Well, I did it. So my water feature business, Rob, I was known as the special forces of water feature building. Okay, we'd come with 3 guys. I had the right little machines, everything else, and we would do what other people would take a month to do. We could do in 1 or 2 days. Literally, that's what we could do. We were that good at what we did, right? So I never had to worry about too many people. Like, oh man, I got this huge payroll. I was like really lean, best at what we did, really focused on it and got it done. So when things would, because over 20 years, there's a lot of humps and bumps. There's little recessions, there's big recessions, and there's depressions, and there's all that stuff you're going to encounter. So you have to be flexible enough, but understand, how are you preparing for this? We're focused on growth. And not just growth, we're focused on, profit, right? Because again, there's revenue. That's great. That's the big number you're taking in, total sales. But what are we keeping? Because what I keep is what's going to get me through those bad times.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm making $100 million a year gross revenue, and I'm taking home $200,000 a year, okay, there's a problem. I mean, I've had guys who are at $10 million a year and they can't even take home $100,000. Okay, when things get tight, they're done. That business is over. It looks cool. The 10 million looks cool. But again, that's gross revenue feeding the ego.
Yeah.
Right. So when we focus on profit, creating profit, uncovering profit, have that as the focus, what we actually get to keep, because now we can help others. I can't help people if we're broke. If I don't have an excess, I can't make that impact. I'm worried about payroll next Friday. There's no impact being made during those times.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how I got to think about it. And I try to train people the same way. We got to focus on profit, not revenue. You will get more revenue because that's part of increasing profit as well. But we really have to focus on what you're able to keep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a restructuring, reorganizing of things, which can be very painful if somebody's been running something a certain way for a long time, and also kind of pretending to have a quality of life for a long time. They're going to have to change that quality of life, which goes back to the ego, right? And taming that ego. I think that's a very important place to also focus too, because that is something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. And also, I think there's a lot of pride that comes into running a successful business, and we get caught up in being so proud of what we're doing instead of being practical about it. What have you done over the years for yourself, just for maintaining, keeping your ego in check on a personal day-to-day level, practical little things for you that have helped you to keep yourself in check? Because especially as success grows, you can get lost in it.
Yeah, you sure can. I think when we talked about humility a little bit earlier, it's kind of a readjustment. I have a morning routine that helps me do this, right? So I actually make it a part of my day. Really important every single day, 7 days a week. I wake up at the same time, 7 days a week, 4 a.m., 7 days a week. There's no sleeping in. I don't do any of that stuff, Again, that's me. I'm a little different, but Sunday morning, 4 a.m., Monday morning, 4 a.m., every day. And I do my morning rituals, right? I make my coffee. I do Bible study. I spend time in the Word. I connect with God. 5:30, I'm off to the gym. I get a great workout in. I come back, make my breakfast, make my food. So I'm eating the right food, right? I'm super hydrated from the morning. When I first get up, I drink 32 ounces of water. I have this routine that begins my day, right? Mm-hmm. So these thoughts, that first hour and a half, I'm thinking about where I've been, where I'm going, what should I be doing? And I just realign myself every day, because you got to kind of reset. You got to center every day.
Yeah.
Because you get running so fast and so hard that a lot of stuff gets pushed to the side to achieve the goal. Right. And that was me. I was about the next thing, the next new thing. Let's do this. Hey, let's do an e-commerce website. It's only $41,000 to make an e-commerce website. Oh, that's cool. So I had tons of money. I paid it. And then a week later, I look at it and go, wait a minute. It's all for my scope stuff. I go, I don't want to do two of anything. Shut this thing down. And I just shut the website down. Moving so fast, 41 grand flushed down the toilet. My wife wanted to kill me. But that was the level of stupid I operated, because I was never refocused. Every day was the next thing, driving hard to achieve, and never recenter myself. Why? Why do I want that? Why is this important? And again, I had great people around me trying to give me advice. I can be a little intimidating, so people were kind of scared to tell me stuff because I'm running so hard and doing all this stuff. But everything they told me was right. I just didn't do any of it, because I was so focused. So I think now, and I've been doing this for the last 15 years, is really that morning focus. aligning that day and getting out and doing things.
Yeah, it's cool. Why did God give us days? Why do we have to sleep? Right? Well, because you got to start over again. So you got to like recenter every single day. You got to refocus yourself every single day. Super important because it keeps you in rhythm. And honestly, if we use it correctly, like you're saying, if we use the days correctly, the mornings correctly, and how things are structured correctly, it keeps us focused and keeps us in alignment. So I love that. It's really good. As we come to the end of this episode, which I've loved, Richard, excellent stuff. I'd love for people to find out more about what you do and also to take advantage of what you do. So if you want to uncover a hidden 100K in profit in your business in 3 minutes or less, go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com/simulator. What can they expect when they go there?
So they're going to pop in their gross revenue, their gross profit margin, and then their net profit, right? Percentage. Do those three things, just those three numbers. Put 3%, it's a little slide bar, 0 to 10%, improvements on 12 areas. Put it at 3%, hit the submit button, and watch what it shows you. It'll find that profit. There's over almost 500 million algorithms in this software. It's amazing what it'll do. And let me encourage you, get the report. You'll click a little button that says get the report or dive deeper. Do that because it'll give you a whole report and explain how all of this works. Really cool. Not going to cost you a dime. It's going to cost you a name and email. And that's it. And you will be astounded at what we do for companies.
Very cool. That's incredible. So that's sharpenthespearcoaching.com/simulator. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to be the authority in your space, you want to launch your platform, go to robzwentz.com. Richard, this has been awesome. Anything that you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
You guys, if you really want to keep improving, I always tell people it's 3 words. Just do hard things. Challenge yourself. Doesn't necessarily be physical. For me, it's a computer. It's a very hard thing. I have to deal with it. So we do hard things to make ourselves better. So I just want to encourage you to get uncomfortable, push yourself, do the challenge, do the hard things.
That's good advice. Yeah, the hard thing for you might not be the hard thing for me or somebody else, right? It's different for all of us. What's your hard thing? Make sure you do it. Good stuff, man. This has been another true testimony of breakthrough. Until next time, this has been the Unstuck Movement.